the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me today, my co-host, my partner in crime, it's the super sub, it's Stephan.
Hello, hello. We are into a new year and I'm still here.
I like that. You sound almost surprised.
Well, I never know, the Christmas break and everything. I never know if I'm going to get invited back or not,
That is true because it's actually funny you say that because I actually had an idea for social media content and it involved that Amazon documentary. And as I was looking at it and coming up with the idea and the concept, I suddenly got really angry again. So you're right, yeah, you very nearly didn't get invited back.
It was close.
It was close,
Just in case we have any new listeners who don't understand the Amazon thing, do you want to explain it? Or
I don't know if I'm allowed without my beep machine. Yeah, okay, that's fair actually. If we do have some new listeners, maybe I should explain this. So, this podcast, typically me and Matt, Stephan steps in on a regular basis. He's a fellow Spurs fan and a fellow podcaster with me. Me and Stephan have our show called the Stuff and Things podcast, which is a show all about entertainment, movies, TV shows and stuff like that. So we know each other, we're both Spurs fans, so yeah, he steps in. Yeah. During the time of Jose Mourinho, Amazon were making a documentary at Spurs, and we were approached as a podcast, along with many other Tottenham podcasts and YouTubers, etc., to contribute. They wanted to use some of our audio as part of the documentary. They gave us a massive list of all these different things, agreed with us, sort of what they do. I was over the moon, absolutely excited that my voice potentially would be on a documentary about my beloved Tottenham. Matt, the co-host, out of 223 shows, this is episode 223. My voice has probably been on about 220 of them. Yeah. Matt's probably 200, probably. And they picked one clip from all of the ones, and it was Stephan's voice.
Yeah, I was on 2 shows that entire season.
Yep, and they picked one with him and his bit. And I sat down to watch the Amazon documentary waiting for my moment, waiting for the glory, waiting for the incredible feeling that it would have been hearing my dulcet pirate farmer tones. But I think that's what it was. I think they listened to the clips of the audio and they heard me and went, well, he doesn't sound like a Spurs fan. And yeah.
The best bit is the fact that of all the Spurs knowledge and discussions that we have had,
yeah, and
all the great things that you and Matt have spoken about,
yeah,
the line clip that they used was me saying, I've never lived through anything like this before.
No, it's true. And
it wasn't even linked to anything Tottenham at all. I was like, oh, okay.
So there is an inbuilt hatred towards Stephan, the limelight stealer,
I like to think of myself as the Pochettino of the podcast. I used to be well loved, but now I've turned it sour.
Pochettino. That sounds familiar. Is that a type of yogurt?
It was the assistant manager to Eric Lamela when the Argentine...
Must have been, yeah. I seem to remember a time where Lamela was player manager for a few years.
That's it.
Yeah, he must have been one of the coaches or something.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
He was a Pochettino. He was a sports scientist, wasn't
he? Yeah, hopefully he found Jesus. He was sat next to him. Anyway. So that's a long rambled explanation to kick off the show. So any new listeners get that. For existing listeners, that was a recap of why we don't like Stephan.
Yes.
So, hello everybody. This is the latest episode of the Spurs News Podcast. Like I said, it is episode 223. Someone asked me how we name the shows. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you always put like a title for it and everything. Do you have that laid out? And to be quite honest with you, no. Typically what happens is we record, I will say something stupid during the show, which I think, oh, that was dumb, and then I'll name the show after it. So
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pretty boring. Like, I think the last one was called Two Signings Already, like, in kind of shock. And I think that was just because I was shocked, and that needed to be said. Like, seriously, you've made 2 signings already? This is mental.
Like, it's the 17th of January as we record this, and we have 2 signings done.
Yeah. It's very odd. It's very, very strange. And so, but a lot of the time, it's typically something stupid. One of us have said, me, Matt, you, someone, and I think, oh, that'd be funny for the title. Yep. So as I'm saying this right now, it's episode 223. I have no idea what we're going to call it. But by the end, you'll all know, because it'll be written on your podcast description. So listen out. Maybe you'll spot the moment during the show where I think to myself, that'll do.
There's the moment. Yeah.
There was the moment. So I got a little bit of a running order for us to go through. Opening up with the Manchester United game. We went to Old Trafford. We drew 2-2. Possibly because of my age, I still have that kind of, it's away at Man United, we're going to get spanked, kind of thing in the back of my head. Obviously, the world's very different now.
Yeah, Man United are not the team they once were.
No, they're not. I think one of the things that is interesting to me is about... I've watched Man United a few times this season, and they were better against us than I've seen them a lot, but we still completely dominated them.
Yep.
Their 2 goals, I think you can look at and say, if our defence wasn't quite as rusty, I think Romero and Van de Ven, excellent, and it's so good to have them back. I think both goals had a little bit of hint of not quite tight enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, not quite closed down enough. Yeah. Just that slight half yard off, which I think, given both of their injuries, you can kind of accept. Also, I've seen that Højlund hit shots like that into row Z more than he hits the back of the net.
Oh, yes.
Do we agree that opening goal, there's nothing Vicario can do with that?
No, that's past him before you have time to react. Like, that is a rocket.
That was insane. Because I saw, again, social media is hilarious, really. But, like, that goal went in, and I just saw loads of people tweet, like, oh, keeper's got to be doing better there. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe I've missing that. You know, maybe he was stood right there and it went through his hands. I don't know. And then I watched it back, and I'm like, no way. Like, if he got anything on that, I think we'd have literally had a phone call from Real Madrid later in the game saying, we will give you 150 million for him now.
Once his wrists are repaired.
Yeah. Because if he put his hands in the way of that, I think they might have snapped. It was... Sometimes you just got to look at that and go, yeah, okay, there's not a lot you can do about that.
The striker has literally put everything he's got into that shot.
Yeah.
If that's hitting someone, they're going in the net as well, sort of a thing. Yeah,
like a cartoon, like a hole in the net. So that was kind of a worse start than you can imagine. But the one thing that kind of amused me is it was the last time we went to Old Trafford and conceded an early goal, we won 6-1. Which of course was during the COVID empty stadium. So I wasn't expecting
even Dombele scored that day, didn't he? Jeez, yeah.
Well, he did.
I
I think someone rang the dinner bell and he kind of fell and was excited, and the ball just went in off him. God, that guy. Anyway, we'll circle. Yeah, we'll circle back. Do you know what? I don't think I'd care so much if he wasn't clearly talented. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if we signed this waste of space who was crap, and I'd kind of go, oh, just get shot. But you look at all the talent that guy's got, all the ability in the world, and his sort of, yay, I'm making great money. I can go out every night. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
He's living the dream of millions and pissing it up against the wall. But anyway.
Couldn't care less,
Yeah, and I think that's what annoys me. It's like, but then, like someone said the other day, which did make me laugh, is like, everyone's like in Turkey was going mental because he had this big thing about his weight and then he's pictured in McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I did kind of think to myself, do you know what? That's the sort of thing I'd do.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a go at him. It's like, oh, everyone's calling me fat. I need a burger to cheer myself up.
I want 20 chicken nuggets and 2 quarter pounders. Yeah.
Barbecue dip. Oh my god, my life's crap. Yeah, but anyway, enough of that. That's a tangent. There we go. That's the name of the podcast. 20 chicken dippers. So, I'm going to keep doing that for all the options we have. Anyone just look at the title of the podcast, be what the fuck? So that their goal. That's just one of them where. Yeah, I think if everyone's a bit sharper early, more switched on, possibly could have got a block, possibly could have closed it down better. And I think that's the sort of thing that will be looked at. I think Matt Wells, who works with the defenders, will be looking at that going, look, guys, I saw some of the analysis, and I'd love to get your take on this, where they were saying that QT Romero could have blocked it if he wasn't so focused on keeping his arms behind his back. Love your view on that, because...
Yeah,
it is such a... In the game now, I can completely understand why defenders are anxious about trying to keep their arms out of the way.
Yeah.
Because like, you look at like someone's natural movement as you're running, your arms go all over the place. And then you're down to a referee's interpretation of, was his arm moving there because of his momentum? Did he move it there to block the ball? Do you know what I mean? You give them a choice to make then, whereas if you wrap him behind your back, but it's true, he wasn't able to quite position himself because of that. What do you think? Because I mean, defending and everything, I know there's a nightmare for everything, but I can't see that. I don't see how you can be critical of him at that, but at the same time sort of just accept it as part of the game. I don't know, what do you think?
I find this is one of those things now that it annoys me and I understand at the same time. Yeah. It annoys me that the game has now got to a stance that defenders, the first thing they think of isn't where's the ball going to go, how can I block it? The first thing they have to now think of is, are my arms in my silhouette or out the way?
Yeah.
And that really frustrates me because that's taken away a lot of it.
Yeah.
But to be critical of Romero because he's not going to give away a penalty for handball, I think that's a bit harsh. Yeah,
because again, it's like this big discussion about it.
Yeah, let's say he does. He slides across. Yeah, he slides himself across in front of him. The arms are in the natural position of where you're sliding, and the ball goes over the slide, hits his hand. Well, all of a sudden, that's now a penalty, a yellow card, and he's on a tightrope for the rest of the game from the 5th minute.
Yeah, 3 minutes in.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you're kind of like, yeah, fair enough. I understand why he's got his hands behind his back completely because you just can't do it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I saw someone, and again, this is going to like an insane degree, but to try and make the point, they're like, at what point will clubs look at amputee defenders?
Wow,
great players but have got no arms. And I kind of looked at that.
Pushed me. Well, I obviously didn't.
Well, I kind of looked at that and kind of like did this kind of like stupid. But then you think about it, they're literally tucking their arms at, it's like, to be a defender now I need detachable arms. Like, quick, drop the arms. The person's saying it tongue in cheek, of course they are, but you kind of look at it and you go, it is a bit weird. Like, but I know there is a judgment call there because what the defenders are trying to avoid is giving them that decision to make.
Yeah.
If it hits my arm, they've then got a decision. Did I move my arm towards it or was it natural? Whereas if it doesn't hit my arm, there's no decision. It's fine.
Yeah.
It is a fraction of a second judgment call, that you have to make in that. But you think how hard that guy hit it from that sort of range. I'd like to think that if that did hit an arm, you'd say, well, no, that's ball to hand because there's no way. Yeah, you're not getting out of the way of that.
If a goalkeeper can't move his hands fast enough to get in the way of it,
we're a couple of yards back.
The defender can't get it out of the way.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing, and I'd love, we got a lot of listeners to this show. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you think about that because that is is a weird thing for me. It is just like a kind of an odd thing that's in football that's just kind of accepted now. That's what happens. But the way you what you're trying to do is minimise giving the referee a decision to make, aren't you? So I can completely understand it, but it is just a little bit odd.
Yeah.
So we went 1-0 down. I then felt that the way the game went was we just started dominating. We dominated possession of the ball. I don't know about you, but it actually really surprised me just how dominant our midfield was when you consider that is quite literally our second, with one of the players possibly being deemed third choice. So what did you think about the pattern of the game after that, and then our midfield in general for the whole game?
I actually think our midfield did really well.
Yeah.
They were solid, they were compact. I think Skippy had one of his best games in quite a while.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. But I know that, Harry Winks has left and now Sanchez and Dyer have left, so the fan base have to find their next scapegoat, and unfortunately it does appear to be Oliver Skipp, with a lot of people seems to be the scapegoat of who's not good enough, needs to leave, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think he's a great player. He loves the club. I understand fully that loving the club doesn't mean you're good enough to play for the club.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I do
true.
believe that loving the club helps you put in an extra 10%.
I'm told that every time I show up for a trial with my boots. Go home.
But
You're
I love
41
the club.
now.
Yeah.
I love the club. I can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think it actually helps you play a bit better for the club because you have that affection for the shirt.
Yeah.
But taking that away from it, I think he had a really good game.
I think he did. I think he showed. See, the thing is he is a player that has got all of this ability, and one of the things I've been really curious about with him is, me and you had this good discussion about this the other day, is that Ange likes to have these three midfielders playing three different roles.
Yes.
And he numbers them when he says this: a 6, an 8, and a 10. So from our point of view, that's a defensive midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, and then an attacking, creative midfielder. Yep. But he's a 6, an 8, and a 10. So we're going to stick to his 6, 8, 10 scenario.
For the football manager lovers out there, that's a ball winner, a box-to-box, and an advanced playmaker.
There you go, yeah. And historically in England, the 6 would be a central defender and a 4 would be that. But anyway, let's shake that off.
Yeah, because...
yeah, right, so for Ange, he says a 6, an 8, and a 10.
Yep.
Oliver Skipp is a 6. His career and everything I've seen him from the academy, when he went on loan at Norwich and he had that great loan and everything, he is a player that you would say takes the ball off of the opposition and gives it to his players. Stops those that can play and gives it to those that can on his team. He is not... See, this is it. In my mind, he is not a box-to-box player. And every time Ange has played him at any point this season, that's how he's played.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm kind of like, well, he's a little bit fish out of water. He's playing a role that isn't one that he's ever played before, and I've watched this kid since he was 16, because he started playing for the under-18s at 15. And like everyone was raving about him. And, by the time he was 17, he was playing for the under-21s and bossing it. And it was like he's the youngest player. He is there. So I've followed him for a long time, exactly doing what he does. He just breaks up play. He's like this lovely, unassuming kid. You see him around, you wouldn't think anything of him. On the football pitch, he's a bit animal. He goes in, he will snap you and have this little innocent face. Like, what? It's like baby face. Like, what?
Yeah.
But that's him, baby-faced assassin. That'd be a good name for the podcast. Anyway, so he's very good. And I will admit on this podcast, and I will say to everybody, probably because I've followed him for this long, I am a little bit biased. I do try and caveat that, because I do look to him and I do look to the positives from him rather than perhaps seeing all the negatives. So if you're listening and you think I'm being a bit blind in one, I'll admit it, I probably am.
I think we're both guilty of that with Oliver Skipp, aren't we, to be fair?
Yeah, quite possibly. I'd like to think... See, here's the thing. I'd like to think more Tottenham fans would be. And see, this comes back to this conversation I had a long time ago with legend Mickey Hazard, which is fans. Another word for fans is supporter. So you have a fan of a club and you are a supporter of the team. Think about that word, support. Everyone sort of talks about it like, oh, you know, I've got my right to say what I want, and of course you have. Everyone's got their rights for opinions, but I saw this thing the other day, and it was this big thing on Twitter. Brennan Johnson was getting reamed out for his performance. Oliver Skipp was getting scapegoated, like you said, which was just bizarre because it was probably his best game for us. And then a lot of people were firing back about it. And then a lot of these kind of big accounts who were being quite vocal and slating them then return with like, what's the problem? It's not like any of them ever read this stuff. Why does it matter? Social media.
But they do.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I know for a fact they do. And everyone who pays any attention to football should know that as well. There was a time when Danny Rose signed a 5-year contract and got so destroyed by our own fan base, he deleted his social media. This is someone who, over the years for us, then went on to be probably the best left back in Europe. But our own fans slated him. And when he wanted to leave and he was sort of trying to push for a move and everyone was just kind of, oh no, Danny, don't lose. Loyalty works both ways. If you're a supporter of the team, support the players. You know, and again, you look at it now. Richarlison's a great example. Richarlison has had to admit publicly that he was suffering with his mental health. He had an injury which just wouldn't clear up, wouldn't go. He was in constant pain, and because of that, he felt that he couldn't play, and he really suffered. And the amount of abuse he was getting from our own fan base, add to that, you know, fellow professionals on podcasts, you know, absolute dickheads. He had to see a psychiatrist. The club supported him. Sonny, he talks about how great Sonny was helping him and insisting that he does it and insisting he gets the surgery now. Like, don't wait, you know, get it done now. Miss
a couple of weeks now, but have the surgery and be there for the second half. Don't do what I did last season.
And he had that surgery. He's now scored 6 and 6. This season in the league, it's 7 goals, 3 assists. So that's 10 goal contributions in 20 games. That's 1 and 2. That is what you
want from your striker.
Well, it's what you want from the forward players. You think about Sonny's slightly over that this season. He's doing 1 and 2. We need Johnson and or Kulusevski and or Werner, someone to do that as well. And all of a sudden you've got 30, 40 goals from your front three a season, you know, all contributing. And that's how Ange wants to play. Now, I want to circle back a little bit to this about the fans and the academy, because what I don't understand is why the fans are so keen to just dismiss it. Like, Harry Winks was a very tidy player for us who then started getting played out of position, all over the place, confidence got shot, and then everyone turned on him, and lo and behold, he could never get back. He can never sort himself out. Now, Skipp, people are... I'm actually hearing the whole, he just passes sideways bullshit.
That is like the one thing that bugs me more than anything else. He can't pass forward. Did anyone else see that incredible ball that he did
to Werner?
Timo should have scored, but unfortunately didn't. But that ball was world class. If someone like Messi or De Bruyne had done that pass,
perfect.
That's being replayed on TikTok everywhere.
I mean, thanks to me, it is being replayed on TikTok. Look at this. But yeah, it is insane. It is insane to me that people get this narrative and people like to follow the crowd. So if it starts becoming a thing, like you see more and more people say it, you start to buy into it yourself. Like, oh, clearly that's the thing. But what I don't get is why people seem to want to do this to academy players. And I want your perspective on this, because me and you play Football Manager the game. Pick it up, put it down every now and again. We play it off and on. But we are players of that game, and many people listening to this probably are as well.
I have more hours racked up on that game than I would like to admit to over the last 15 years.
Yeah, don't ever do that math.
No, I do.
So no, don't. Trust me, that leads to a very dark place. What could I have done with that time? Anyway,
I'm up to like 1,800 hours on one of them. It's a long time.
Again, let's stop.
Yeah.
So, in that, there is a kind of, and FIFA and games like that, you build your squad and you try and have all-stars in every position and every squad place.
Yep.
In reality, with real life, real people and everything like that, that does not work. If you are a super club, and I'm going to put super club, and doing this in air quotes, for Manchester City, right? Let's use them as the English super club now. I think they are that.
Yes.
They have got a squad full of absolute world-class players who are all earning great money, and Pep Guardiola rotates on a regular basis. You know, you will see that squad rotate on a regular basis. They are all getting game time. They're all buying into it, but most of all, they are all picking up trophies and medals every season. So everyone within that squad, I mean, the Scott Carson, the third choice goalkeeper, everyone's laughing his balls off, but I don't think he's there this year. But,
Champions League winner, world.
Yeah,
no, he must be there because he just won the World Cup.
Oh well, there you
the
go.
World Club
He's
Cup
still,
or whatever, so yeah,
he's still laughing his ass off all the way to the bank, earning like 40 grand for sitting around and training every
for
day.
training. I mean, God, I'd love to earn 40 grand a week just for training.
Yes, it's a life, and a third choice English goalkeeper has got to be the dream.
Yeah.
If you're slightly lazy, if only Ndombele had been an English goalkeeper, it would have suited him down the ground.
At best, you're going to end up in Scotland for a season or two playing, and then you're going to come back to third choicing. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good life. So, but my point is, sorry, I'm just making myself laugh now. My point is that you need to have players in your squad who are not so much accepting of I am a squad player, I am rotation, but more kind of I will come off the bench and give everything in that time that I have off of the bench.
Yeah.
I will step in when there's an injury and give everything for 90 minutes. I will make the person who has the shirt ahead of me feel pressured every single day in training because I will be the ultimate professional. I will train well. I will train hard.
Yep.
Finding those types of players in the modern game is not easy. If you can develop them through your academy, like you were saying earlier on, the affection for the club and everything, that is what you want. Because Oliver Skipp will show up every single day at that club, give 100% in training. You only got to listen to the coaches talk about him to know that.
Yeah.
Another example of a player who does that in the Tottenham squad is Ben Davies.
I was about to say Ben Davies, yeah.
Now, I've talked a lot about maybe it's time that we look to move Ben because of the system, because of everything like that. And then this year, even with all of the system changes, the style of football and everything that Ben has seen since he's been at the club, all the different coaches, all the different styles and everything, he has always been someone who will just step in, be professional, and work to the best of his ability.
And let's be honest, when we were missing our centre-backs and stuff, and he was playing there, I don't think he had a good game. I don't think he had a bad game, sorry. I don't think he had a bad game. Yeah.
I was about to say that went in a different direction. I don't think he even kicked the ball properly. He's shite. It's like, wow, a step on my moment. But my point is, you need those players. They need to be consummate professionals. They need to be good squad men where they're not causing trouble. They're not everything like that. And they are there and they are available. And you can rotate. You can move these players in and out, and you can rely on them.
Yep.
Because there are too many players that you can't rely on them. I'll give you an example of a player that I personally just want to see moved on. That's Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I thought he was excellent under Jose and Jose's system. I thought he started under Conte quite well, but fell away hard. I think perhaps off the field stuff with Conte perhaps contributed to that. He does not suit Ange Bull at all. He is not an Ange Bull player, and I think he knows that. I think Ange knows that, and I think a solution for all will be for him to move on. So saying all of that, what I will say is he has been an incredible professional. He hasn't gone off on international duty and bitched and moaned. He said, I'm part of this squad. I'm ready to come in if the manager needs me. Like, all I got to do is focus on training, being fit, and contributing where I'm asked. You cannot ask more than that.
That is kind of exactly what you want to hear.
It is. Yeah. It is perfect. And how many times do you see players go off, oh, you're not getting a lot of game time at the moment. Yeah, I've got to look at my options. Or agent starts to leak stuff and, management start to say things. All of a sudden, Sky Sports News, oh, Tottenham's training, there's several players feel left out. And you're like, oh, what the hell's going on? Man United's a great example of that. Man United's a squad all over the place. Total disharmony. You got players that they signed there for 90, 80 million quid, sat around twiddling their thumbs and doing nothing but just causing chaos, basically.
Yeah.
Because their egos are, I should be starting every day. They're not buying into the, I just need to keep myself ready and fit and be professional and then I'll get my chance. They're kicking off.
Yes.
And when you have that in a squad, it's a problem. So,
massively, because you only need one player to start like that, and then that then trickles on to the next guy that's on the bench. And you're right. Why am I on the bench?
So going full circle back to my original point is, I don't understand therefore why people are so quick to be shitty to a guy like Oliver Skipp and say he's not good enough. Well, what's he not good enough for? He's not good enough to be a member of the squad? That's a nonsense. Yes, he is.
Yep.
He's not good enough to come on and help close games out in tight games? That's a nonsense. Yes, he is.
Yep.
He's not good enough to be an option when there are injuries ahead of him, because is he as good as Bentancur? No, he's not. Is he as good as Basuma? I'd probably say no, not in that role, though with Basuma's form being what it was, maybe, at the moment.
Yep.
In the 8 role, the box-to-box, is he as good as Sarr? No, that's not his game. Is he going to be as good at creating stuff as Maddison? No, that's not his game.
Yeah.
Is he going to score as many goals if you stick him up front as Kane did? No, it's not his game.
No.
But you play him in the role, the 6, if you like, the defensive midfield, breaking up role of this team, and you play him consistently, then he will do well. But more importantly is if he is ever needed from the bench, from the squad, to step in for an injury, to come on if someone picks up an injury in the game or to start, he will do a job and be 100% committed. And if only our fans could rationalise that in their brain and get their heads around it. Now, if Tottenham move on to win the league, the FA Cup, start winning the Champions League, competing for the World Club Cup, then maybe we could sign someone to sit on the bench and rotate who is also a world-class player. But right now, that's not us.
No.
We are not Man City. And newsflash, when Man City first got all this money and started building their super team and everything,
they didn't do anything for a year. Yeah.
Yeah, they cocked up. It was all over the place. And Pep Guardiola's first season with them, they won nothing. They didn't do anything. They didn't achieve anything. They struggled because he needed certain players to fit his system, to fit his thing, and then he went out and spent, because of course that's what Man City do. But they've just built from there.
Yeah.
They didn't start with this unbelievable squad, and Pep then just sort of made them even better. It had to be built. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and Ange is building. And
we all know it's gonna take a couple of transfer windows, because you have to. At the moment, he's got a lot of round holes. And he's got a few round pegs. He's got a couple of square pegs. He's got a triangle peg. You know, and he needs to get the players that fit his system.
He's got Ndombele, who's 4 pegs taped together. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even know what shape that peg is anymore.
Hey, he's playing at the moment, and Galatasaray just got to get through January. Just need him to be good through January, and then they've got him to the end of the season no matter what.
Tough, yeah.
Get to the end of January and they can't send him back.
Do you think that's what he does? He's like the next Adebayor. Like he just plays really well during the windows.
Mate, if he does that this winter, I'm fine with it. That's fine. I swear, I genuinely think if we get to the end of the season and they're like, we're not taking up our option on him, have him back.
Yeah. I
genuinely think there must be a discussion within the club to go, do we just try and agree with him to end it? Like, do we just sort of say to him, you know, we'll pay you off, just leave?
Look, here's a Nando's black card, just go away.
Can you imagine? Like the headlines, Tanguy Ndombele's contract terminated by Tottenham. Now seen it, Nando. Yeah, pictured walking out of every restaurant in London, like thumbs up, like hey, living my best life.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I hate him.
Podcast
when I respect
name,
him.
Nando's black card. Yeah.
Oh God, maybe I could get him on the show. Go on, Tanguy, tell your side of it. I'm just hungry. Yeah, we know, buddy. We know.
Can it be for success? Can you be hungry for that
could
instead?
Yeah. Could it be to improve? No, literally hungry. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, it's just what it is. But like I said, it's something that gets in my brain, and I just can't understand it. Why supporters do not support our players?
Yeah.
Like, we can all look at it and go, so and so's had a bad game today. Last against Manchester United, I felt Johnson had a poor game. I felt he struggled in that game. That doesn't mean I'm writing him off. It doesn't mean he ain't good enough. Doesn't mean it just means, yeah, I see, I get reminded of this quite a lot. I had concerns about him when we signed him.
Yeah.
And so I get this quite a lot, but it's like, no, I'm not writing him off. This is, one, is his first season with us. Two, you can see flashes of some real good ability there, and I believe in this coaching team that will get the best out of him. So he had a bad game.
Yeah, so
that's it.
Okay, so with the whole Brennan Johnson thing, we can kind of flip the narrative on that, because I was the complete opposite of you when we signed him.
Massively, yeah.
I was over the moon. Like, to me, this kid reminded me of, like, young Bale with his pace, and he's got a good finish on him. He reminded me of a young Dele Alli. He's got that, just the smile and the love for playing football with a cheeky back heel or a little trick or something. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Like, this is the player that I genuinely like.
Yeah. He's
now signing for my club. This doesn't happen often. Normally, if I like a player, they go and sign for Arsenal or Chelsea. Alexis Sanchez, I loved him at Barcelona and Inter Milan. Signed for Arsenal, devastated. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I loved Oxlade-Chamberlain at Southampton. Signed for Arsenal. You know, so the fact that this is a young, decent Welsh player, but young Welsh player who I really like, and I'm like, okay, we've signed him. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Since he has joined us, he has not done the things that I thought he would.
Yeah.
For me, his main ability was that pure pace. Like, he has a raw pace, and he really likes taking on a defender. Because he'll knock the ball and he will run round you like you're not even there.
Do you think he is suffering from nerves based on not long after joining us, he did his hamstring?
Quite possibly. For me, it's like, I think I was talking to you about this over WhatsApp, I believe. When I was 16, 17, I was playing for a men's football team.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest and most lightweight in the squad. Yeah. So they tried bulking me up. Bear in mind, this is amateur stuff. This isn't professionals. This is amateur stuff. Yeah. Every training session, I used to have to wear a rucksack of sand.
Okay.
With the idea, if it would bulk me up a bit, it would give me a bit
more
more
science, people. Sports science.
I was like one of the quickest people in the squad because I was so young.
Yeah.
But the wind would blow the wrong direction and I'd fall over mid-run. Yeah. So they wanted to bulk me up. So they used to make me run with a bag of sand on my back. Which obviously slowed me down completely. But over time, it built up some strength. Now, I watched Brennan Johnson play. And he reminds me of myself trying to run with the weights on my back. Like, he seems like he hasn't got... Something's like holding him back. Like, a ball goes and you're like, oh, he's going to get onto that. Or he's one-on-one with the defender and you're like, he's going to knock it and run. And he doesn't. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a confidence, if he's gone from his boyhood club to suddenly he's gone to a real big team. Is it a bit of a confidence thing of he needs that little bit of, I belong here. This is what I do. Is it nerves over the hamstring? I'm not sure, but he's not done what I expected yet. But same as you, not writing him off.
See, it's unfortunate for me because he's done exactly what I expected, which is annoyingly.
Yeah.
It's like when we had this conversation when we started, and this is why people keep reminding me. It's like, oh, you said this, you called this, and I'm like, yeah, I don't mean I'm happy about it.
I haven't got to put a load of money on the fact he'd only have one assist in 10
I know.
games.
It's I didn't like say at the time like I hope he shits to prove me right. It's like, and I don't think he is that, by the way. But I think what doesn't help him in that game against Manchester United is that new signing Timo Werner was running in behind and was doing all the things we've all been expecting to see from Johnson.
Yeah.
And it was like a real interesting comparison where you got both of them who were absolute speedsters and you're looking at it and you're going, well, he's doing it. What's going on there?
Yeah.
They moved Wan-Bissaka to left back to go up against him, and why on earth isn't he giving him the? Wan-Bissaka's not left-footed.
No.
Why on earth are you not doing him on the outside? It's just like it didn't make sense to me. It was a strange thing. It just wasn't his day. And then when he did have a moment, it was like, because he had this one moment, the ball went to him, and he had this first touch, and I was like, wow, that was incredible. Took that ball under control.
As the ball was just behind him, and he kind of used the outside of the back heel to bring it in.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, he brought that into his stride, and then sort of fumbled it.
And then didn't get onto it, and you're like, but you've got the pace to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, he's literally got the pace to just tap that to one side and go round them. Yeah. And if they bring you down there, that's a red. So it's like he needs to do that. And perhaps it is a confidence thing.
I think
we'll have to wait and see.
Once Son's back and once the injuries are kind of injury crisis is over.
Never going to happen.
I don't think Johnson right now is a starting 11 player. I think you've got to be looking at our starting front three is Richarlison, Son, and Kulu.
Decky, yeah.
They're going to be our front three. But then our next three, you're then looking at, it's going to be Werner, Brian, and Johnson, for example.
No, I think Brian needs to go. For me.
Yeah, I mean, here's another one of these. I realise, I think it's just the number 11 shirt.
Yeah.
If you wear the number 11 for Tottenham, I'm determined you're going to be fantastic. Doesn't always happen.
No, I think the thing is again, he's a player you can look at and think he's got a load of ability.
Yeah.
There's so much there, but it doesn't appear, for me again, and this is my humble opinion, it doesn't appear to click for him in England. Whether it's the physicality, the pace of it, I'm not sure. But I have not seen anything from him in plenty of appearances, cameos, both as a sub and a start, so far. At any point to go, oh, hang on, that's good. Okay, let's see if we can build on that. There's just nothing. Like with Johnson, I am seeing things and I think, okay, there's something there.
He's putting some great balls into the box on occasion and stuff like that. Yeah. With Brian, it seems to me that last bit isn't quite there. Like, I am always one of the first people to kind of brush away the physicality side of it.
Yeah.
Purely on the fact we had Luka Modric, who was tiny and phenomenal. Aaron Lennon.
With the greatest respect to every other footballer on the planet, I think Luka Modric is one of the smartest footballers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like Messi and all these players, the thing that they have is time. Yes. And they give that to themselves with their movement. And also, I've seen a few people say this before, and it kind of sounds dumb, and I'm going to say it, and I could potentially sound dumb. Not movement. Sometimes just stand still. Let everyone else run off, and all of a sudden you're in space.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
And and the ability and the mental kind of capacity of Luka Modric. But going back to, David Silva and people like that. Kind of
Aaron
Brian
Lennon.
Hill.
Aaron Lennon for us was a very small, slight winger.
I think the game doesn't really have traditional wingers anymore.
No, that's the thing.
I don't think Lennon really would suit Ange Ball.
No, see, that's where I think Brian Gill's problem is. I think Brian Gill is an out-and-out winger.
Yeah.
And we do not play out-and-out wingers. So for that reason, I think, let's look at potentially moving him on and bringing in an inverted winger, inside forward, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens because he seems determined to want to stay unless he can get a move back to Spain.
Which is different to last year because last year he was all up for, I'm out, bye.
I think the atmosphere around the club is very different.
Yes.
I think Ange has kept him very close with the first. I think everyone can see there's ability there. It's just whether that can translate to being able to perform on a level for the Premier League. And also, if you're looking at it from the point of view of, okay, this is someone who's going to be my squad rotation option.
Yeah.
What is the drop off? Because the drop off from some people it is insane.
Oh yeah.
Finishing, for example, I think Sonny is slightly slower than Werner. I think Werner's pace sort of equals that, but when it comes to finishing, you'd back Sonny all day over Werner. Without even, without even thinking about it, it's like, yeah, Sonny. It's just about that. So the drop off there in the finishing ability is massive. But, you only got to listen to the interviews with Werner where he's saying, I don't consider myself the 9 anymore. I consider myself the creator. Of course I want to score goals. Everybody does. But I am going to use my abilities, my pace, my everything to create goals for the team. And that is the most important thing.
Now, that interview he gave, I mean, I'm aware this whole podcast has been a tangent now.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you let me on it. But that interview that Timo Werner gave, that changed my opinions of him instantly. Now,
really?
I was very excited for him to join us. Because there is a heck of a player there.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
at Chelsea, he didn't really hit the heights that they expected of him.
Still contributed a goal contribution, either an assist or a goal in 1 and 2.
Yeah, which is still, as we've just said about Richarlison and stuff, that's brilliant. But they signed him as a 9.
They did, yeah.
And he didn't get the goals they wanted. We have signed him as, it kind of felt at first as we've signed him to kind of sub in for Son while Son's away.
Yeah.
And then when Son comes back, it'll be interesting to see kind of how he fits in the rotation side of it.
Yeah.
But I was very excited to sign him because of his pace and the way he plays and the way that Ange has got us set up. For me, that was an exciting signing.
Agreed.
He then gave an interview, and I've gone from being excited that he's joined to absolutely over the moon. Like, this is a player who, as a forward/striker that he was, has turned around and gone, look, I'm older than I was when I joined Chelsea. My game has developed. I've now realised that actually my best attribute is my speed, and therefore I'm going to beat a defender and put it on a plate for the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
That is a player, that is a purely selfless player.
Yep.
He understands, I'm really quick. This squad uses quick players to get in behind and square the ball. I can do that.
Yeah.
There's none of this.
Do that.
And he did that. He set up a goal in his first game.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is now a different signing to what I expected, and I'm actually more excited for it.
Yeah, and it is good. I mean, I am pleased. It's funny because he's a player. I did the podcast with Polynesian Dan last week.
Yes.
And we didn't get around to talking about it, which we were both like, oh crap, we forgot. Dan and me, a long, long time ago, before he went to RB Leipzig, Tottenham had the opportunity to buy Timo Werner for 9 million quid. But Daniel Levy, being Daniel Levy, offered 3. And he went on to Leipzig and scored a hatful of goals, including one against us in the Champions League or a couple against us.
Yeah.
And he went really, really well. And then eventually went to Chelsea for big money, and obviously his career then went on a bit of a decline.
Yes.
Now, me and Dan really rated him. He was a player that we both spotted. We both like that kid's pace, everything. He'll suit the way at the time that Argentinian bloke whose name I've forgotten was managing us. He'd be perfect. Didn't happen. Whatever. I think we got Ngudu.
Oh God.
The class that was. So it just like one of those things that now he's joined us. It was like this kind of funny thing where it's like, bloody hell, 7 years too late, but he's arrived.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny. But we were both, I mean, me especially, really quite blown away by that deal, because you look at what we can buy him for in the summer if it works out. And it's an option, not an obligation. So if all goes well, we're signing him for about 13-14 million pounds, which in the modern game is shite.
That's
really
peanuts, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. His wages are that of a average Premier League player. He's not earning in our top bracket anywhere near.
Yeah.
So none of it is there's no risk in this deal at all. If he does brilliantly, and also listen to him, he doesn't sound like a guy who's thinking he's on loan for 6 months and then going back. He sounds like a guy who's joined us and will earn that deal. You listen to him talk
he's
about
talking
like,
about
I'm
the
here,
project and winning trophies and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
Oh.
He is talking about being here and earning that permanent move.
I did see.
Like that.
I saw someone on the social media put on there. He does realise he hasn't signed a 7-year deal, right? Yeah. Because he's talking like he's signed a 4 or 5 year deal.
No,
I like that.
Yeah, me too. I like the fact that he's got that belief in himself. You know, when he was at Chelsea, and the funny thing is, I saw Alistair Gold talk about this. Like, he missed a couple of chances against Man United, and immediately there were headlines and sneers and people laughing at him. Yeah. And he was like, the thing that they're like people aren't really seeing is like he is getting into those positions, and you only got to, you know, if he scores in that game, like there was a chance he kind of snatched that a little bit. And there was another one which was a more difficult chance that, again, you know, possibly could have done better, but I'm not going to be too critical of him over it.
Yeah.
You look at that and you go, if he keeps doing that, it's the impact. Yeah, he might not score. He might not be as prolific as someone that's getting all these chances, but he is terrifying defenders. And if he keeps doing that, it's going to create space.
Yep.
And I'll tell you who I think had one of his better games for us, if not one of his best games for us, because of that, was Richie. Yes. I thought Richarlison was sensational against Manchester United. Not just because he got the goal, which he did, which is a really good header, a really good set piece.
Yep.
But because he was closing down, like, you know, his work rate was excellent. He tracked back, which was excellent. His distribution, hold-up play was excellent, which against Burnley was awful. So hopefully someone fired into him over that and it got him focused. But having the Werner pace meant defenders had to step off because they knew if they pressed right up on Richie and he just clipped it over their heads.
Werner's gone.
You know, and you and I both know, and anyone who's watched Richarlison play, he's a Brazilian forward. He's got all the ability in the world just to clip the ball up in the air, dink, you know. Yeah. He's got all the, you know, it could look like the ball's not going to do anything. All of a sudden, he's backheeled it through a gap, you know, nutmeg. And if you are a defender and all of a sudden you're thinking, right, I'll get tight to Richie, he can't hold the ball up well. Oh, crap, I can't do that because if he does get that ball over my head, Werner's in. All day long, he's going to sprint past me. And that, I think all of these kind of things interlocked and benefited each other and will continue to benefit the front line. You know, it's the sort of thing, the Sonny being on the pitch does that to an extent because people are nervous of him. He's a world-class player.
Yeah. And the thing we've got now is we've now got 3 or 4 forwards and they can all play through the middle or on the left or on the right.
Yeah. Yeah,
and all of a sudden, all Ange needs to do now is say, right, you 3 are the forwards. Yeah. Go play football.
Yeah.
And if those 3 are kind of, so, okay, the ball goes forward and Son makes the break through the middle and Richarlison drifts over to the left.
Those 2 were starting to really do that. I think you noticed it as well.
I noticed it. And you got a centre-back who's being told, right, you need to mark Richarlison.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's buggered off onto the left wing. As a centre back, you
can't go tracking him out there.
No,
even if it's just switch.
Even if it is just that split second of a defender going, "Where's my man?" That is potentially all you need for a striker like Son to have space to fire a shot. Is just that half a second of them going, "Where's my man?" Oh, Son scored.
Yeah, Sonny has scored, and yeah. I mean that is where we are going towards, where we're not just one focal point to the team, but rather a set of forwards who can interchange, and also the people you bring on can continue that. Like there'd be no drop off. Like if you can imagine, you face Sonny for 60, 70 minutes, you're knackered. He's run in behind you constantly. Sonny's going to go off for a rest and you're going to bring on Timo Werner who can do 100 metres in 11 seconds. That's Olympic sprinter level.
Yeah.
And you're knackered, you know.
You've just done an hour against Son and you're going, oh my God, I've got half hour against that guy. No, take me off. I'm injured. Hamstring. Take me off.
Exactly. Oh, cramp. Oh, it's a bad one.
Yeah.
Speaking of cramp, by the way, Van der Ven going down, I don't think I breathed
for about 30 seconds.
And he was like signaling to the bench and I'm like, oh no, and then you saw the guy doing the cramp thing. I was like, oh, thank you, all of my gods.
Yeah.
And he's doing the post-match interview, and he's just like, yeah. And he looked almost embarrassed, like he had this kind of smile, like it was a really bad cramp. I'm really, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Don't worry.
What happened? It was cramp.
Yeah. So it's like,
You
I was
look like
screaming
you're
to
torn
the
your
bench.
hamstring again. What happened?
Yeah.
No, I just felt a twinge of
Yeah,
cramp. Sorry.
it hurt.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So we've obviously we talked about the Man United game a little bit. I felt we dominated that game. I felt we were a little bit lucky not to concede a late goal, which would have been really unjust, but that's football.
Yeah.
But we were also a little bit unlucky that some of the chances we created weren't tucked away. So I didn't feel I didn't feel a draw was unfair. I would have obviously liked all 3 points. We always do.
Yeah.
But I think a point away at Man United, when you look at us this season
Still a
and the
depleted
style of
squad.
football,
Yeah.
and the style of football we're playing, regardless of who's playing it, we have gone away to Man City, Arsenal, and Manchester United, and we've not lost.
Yep.
I think that is a record we should all be quite proud of, or
Yeah.
quite pleased, because, you know, it's gone our way. Sorry, not Liverpool. It was somebody else I was thinking of. But Arsenal, Arsenal, Man City, and Man United we've gone away to.
Yes.
And we've not lost.
And you think we've not had our first choice, as they say, since that Chelsea game.
Ugh.
And we are still right up there.
Yeah, we are.
And
We're playing well. The squad are all bought in, and everyone's playing well, and I'm pleased.
We've not lost 3 players and suddenly gone, right, okay, lads, play 5 at the back. Let's try not to get beaten every week.
Yeah,
And we've lost 5 players, 6 players. Okay, you know how we play.
The other thing about the
mate.
Man United game, which was interesting because the news didn't come out until after the game, is the sickness that ripped through the club.
Yes.
So a load of players out ill all week, hardly trained. Decky tried to push himself and then basically collapsed. And they're like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So we ended up with a bench of youth players, 2 goalkeepers, and 1 short.
Yes.
That's how depleted we are.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it is. We touched on Werner's signing. We also signed another player, crazily, and that's Radu Dragushin. His name is pronounced Dragushin, not Dragusin, like I've been saying.
Yeah,
so
I just called him Radu because I find that's easier.
Yeah, Dragushin. He is young, 21 years old, been in Italy a long time, learning from some of the very best defenders in the world. Let's face it, Italian football defenders are some of the best that you're going to find from a coaching standpoint and everything. He's really had a great season at Genoa in their promotion campaign and started this season very, very well. He was sold to them by Juventus, so a certain Paratici, yes, he was involved yet again.
So that's
the consultant. The
Romero,
consultant.
Decky, Bentancur, Radu, they've all got the links to Juventus, haven't they?
They have, yes, all quite heavily linked there. Juventus had a sell on as well. I just kind of looked at that and thought there's something so incestuous about all of this, but I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah.
He has all the attributes based on our new metrics and our new scouting to really fit in and play Ange ball. I saw a lot of stuff being written about, he plays part of a 3, how's he going to play as part of a 2, etc. Without a shadow of doubt, there's going to be an adjustment. He's moved to England, but what I liked is Ange just bringing him on straight away to get some minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, come on now. I've got faith in you. It was it was so easy for him to be like, we're trying to see this game out or anything. He just doesn't think that way. So straight away, you've arrived. Let's get you on a pitch. You're now in England. You've played at Old Trafford. Great. There you go. Those minutes ticked. Our next game is Man City in the FA Cup. He's probably going to get minutes in that game as well. So it's kind of let him settle. Welcome this guy. Timo Werner had 2 training sessions with the squad, and then came on and did really well. Dragoshin had less, and they came on and just looked accomplished.
Yeah.
So I think, look, it's 2 signings we made. Will they make an impact? I hope so. Our scouting and our recruitment has improved massively. The guy chose us over Bayern Munich. His agent's a gobby git, but we're just going to try to ignore him because if you listen to the player, listen to the player's family, this is a dream for them. This is a special thing. There was some really nice stuff where someone videoed his brother watching his debut, basically looking really emotional.
Yes.
Which is great. So again, this continues the theme of we are signing people who want to join us. They're not like stepping stone. His agent says we are, but let's ignore that mouthy idiot and hope that he fires him and appoints somebody else.
We've got another one of those coming in going, but he wants to go to Man City. No, I don't.
No, I'm good. He's like, I can't believe he turned down Bayern, but, he's a man of his word and he gave his word to Tottenham. And now he's given an interview basically just like, no, I wanted to play in the Premier League. Yeah. And Tottenham have been interested in me for quite a while, and this is where I want to be. I spoke to the manager, which is a running theme for all these players.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about, actually, with that.
Okay.
Just how nice is it that all these players that have joined recently, or that all of them are speaking about the fact that, I had one conversation with the manager, and that was it. I knew what my place was, and I signed.
Yeah,
and then Ange comes out, and it's like, nah, it's nothing to do with me, mate. I'll just tell them what's going on. It's up to them. I'm like,
well, he's right. I mean, this is the thing. Is like Maddison's one is to me was the great example where Ange said to him, whether you join us or not, you're going to see a very different Tottenham. Like this is going to be my Tottenham playing front foot, attacking football.
Yeah,
you can be part of that or not. That's up to you. But regardless if you join or not, we are going to be a different team.
Yep.
And Maddison was like, "Oh, bloody hell! What do you mean? If that's a different sales pitch. Normally, I'm used to, we need you. You're going to be so essential to us. You're going to be the main man." And Ange's like, "Yeah, I want you, but regardless of you joining, this is what it's going to be."
Yeah.
And,
you're either going to score for me or we're going to score against you. You choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maddison was like, "Oh yeah, I'm up for that. I want that."
Yeah.
All the rumours are that we actually have Mrs. Maddison to thank for his move to us because she wanted to live in London. But yeah, regardless.
Either way, don't care. Yeah.
Either way, don't care. But yeah, every single player who signed has talked about speaking to the manager and having this feeling of knowing exactly what's expected of them, knowing exactly the standards, knowing exactly, like, there's no grey area. There's no sort of, this is what I expect, this is what I want from you, this is why I am keen to sign you.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like Ange said in this interview with Rio Ferdinand, he turned down a player that the club had lined up in the summer because when he spoke to him, he felt like the guy was just treating Tottenham as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's not it. He's like, you want to come to this club, this great club, all the history, all the modern facilities, everything that we've got going for us. You come here because you see Tottenham as the place to be. Vicario in his interview recently, and he's talking about how he would have walked to England to sign the deal if he had to.
Yeah.
That's what you want. These players who are seeing Tottenham as not like, oh, I'll go to Tottenham for a couple of years, then I'll go to Man City or I'll go to Real Madrid. No, they're seeing it as I'm going to go to Tottenham and I'm going to achieve something.
Now,
Tottenham is a destination.
Do we know who it was he was talking to Rio Ferdinand about?
There are several people it could be, and there are several people who are very well connected with the club, and I've been given different answers.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think anyone actually knows. My suspicion, it was a central defender. I think it was the guy in Germany who was playing for Leverkusen. Because we were very, very close. We were very, very, that was all the thing. And then all of a sudden, that went very quiet. He then signs a new deal, and we signed Mickey van der Ven.
That was it, yeah.
And so that's why I think it might be that way. Because the other guy everyone thinks it could have been was David Raya, the goalkeeper. But that deal kind of never got past. How much do you want? Really? Okay, goodbye.
And my gosh, have we got the better deal out of that one?
Yeah, and that's why people, I think, need to start changing their mindset, not looking at the fees and what we're spending, but looking at how we're spending it and what we are doing right now.
Yeah,
we have had some awful windows, and our recruitment has been terrible for a long time.
Yep.
But let's focus on what's happening right now and the changes that have been made to our recruitment. And we are seeing the benefits of that right now. But you're also seeing the benefits of good recruitment mixed with good coaching. Yes. Because a lot of these players were recruited for Conte, Sarr, Basuma, and then under Ange, they look great signings. Yep. But under Conte and under somebody else, they possibly won't. So it has to be a combination. Get your recruitment right, but also get the coaching right. And right now, we're ticking both those boxes.
No, I agree. I do agree with you. Basuma is a different player. I mean, Basuma at the start of the season was a different player.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a dip in form.
AFCON and carries on as the original Basuma, not the last.
Yeah, he opened his nation opened with a 2-0 win over South Africa, so they've opened well. Mali, I think Senegal won as well, but Papa Sarr didn't get off the bench. Amazing to me, but if he has a nice rest whilst he's there, I'm not going to mind.
Yeah.
And sunny South Korea in the Asia Cup, they open with a 3-1 win as well, so all good for the Tottenham players away. Mate, we're going to wrap it up here because me and you could talk Tottenham for another 2 hours, but poor people had fallen asleep.
I know, we didn't even get onto the loans and everything else.
No, we didn't. Let's just do this really quickly then, because otherwise I'll be annoyed at myself again.
So Sergio Reguilon is coming. He's back from United, but he has agreed today for a medical at Brentford.
Yep,
fantastic signing for Brentford, I think, there, because again, me and you have spoken about Reggie, and he is an out-and-out fullback. He's not an inverted fullback.
No.
And Brentford haven't actually had a left fullback for most of the season due to injuries. So that is a great sign for them, and he should get a lot of minutes there.
Yeah, and be interesting to see if he can earn himself a move, because under Ange, he's not part of our plans.
No. Japhet Tanganga.
Tanganga went to Augsburg in Germany, newly promoted side. Their coach played a back five, 3 central defenders, wanted Japhet there for that. Japhet arrived, got injured, was out for a month. During that month, this team didn't win a game and they sacked the coach. The new coach came in and plays a back four with 2 central defenders, and Japhet finds himself 5th choice because of the players who are already at the club.
Yeah, so he'll be back to us.
So we didn't have a termination agreement with Augsburg, so we've had to negotiate it. Obviously, they were keen to offload him because he's just surplus.
Yeah.
But they had an option to buy him, so we had to negotiate that. That's not been finalised yet as the time of recording, as far as I'm aware. But it would appear he's coming back, and we have lined up a championship loan for him. But again, that's speculation at the moment. The other thing that's happening today is Alfie Devine has been recalled from his loan at Port Vale in League One.
Yep.
He's had an excellent loan there, constant game time,
26
played really well.
appearances for Port Vale.
The fans really took to him there. He's been great. We are sending him out now for the second half of the season to the Championship, where he'll be joining fellow Academy member Ashley Phillips at Plymouth Argyle.
So it's a nice step up for him.
Yeah, and Phillips made his debut for Plymouth and was excellent.
Brilliant.
There's a clip going around from Soccer Saturday, or whatever it's called now, where the pundit at the game said, "Remember this name, this kid's going to be a superstar." And that was Ashley Phillips.
Boom! So that's not too bad then.
Not too bad at all, but yeah, that's all happening today. There's a lot of movement when it comes to loans and stuff like that. There's a few members of the under-21 squad that I know there are a lot of discussions about currently, potential loans, but also because of how depleted the first team squad is, there's a little bit of kind of selfishness from the club as well of, we want to keep you around.
People like Alfie Dorrington, who could really do with like a Championship or League One loan, but at the same time, he's on our bench a lot at the moment.
Yeah, Dorrington is a player where there's a certain belief within the coaching set where they want to keep him around at the moment.
Yeah.
You go out because you need first team minutes and stuff like that, but right now they feel like he is developing rapidly under the coaching and working day in, day out with Romero and people like that.
I mean, that's not a bad thing, is it, at all?
It's not a bad thing. So keep him around. Of course, if a really great option pops up for a loan, then you might well see that happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, mate, it's time to wrap it up. Massive thank you to everybody for listening, as always. We'll be back next week. Until then, as always, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.